JNUs too, and we've been speaking to them since President. They very categorically say that yesterday's event was a vigil. It was to commemorate the anniversary of the attack that took place in JNU in 2020 on the 5th of January. And because the Supreme Court judgment had also come in against Umar, Khalid, and Sharjeel Imam, so that was also discussed. So clearly, in that very emotion, there were sloganeerings that did happen, which they did not really deflect from. That was agreed by all the members of the student union, but they say that these sloganeering cannot be looked at independently. It is about how they wanted to condemn an ideology, and they say that it's only a portion of the
Shreya, one quick question before we let you go. Is there regret that maybe certain slogans which involve the Prime Minister should not have been raised?
That's actually been made.
Shreya, can you hear us? Shreya, can you hear us? We don't seem to have Shreya. Shreya, are you back with us? Okay, we're going to try and reconnect with my colleague Shreya Chatterjee, who's breaking news. The student body has come out with an official statement saying that this is an attempt to completely turn the picture, a deliberate bid to mischaracterize what was pure ideological dissent into something far more sinister. And the chants were raised, they are not deflecting from that, but they said that they were merely raised as a protest sign and a sign of dissent, which is their constitutional right. And there is now a propaganda to malign the JNU students for indulging in something which the students had absolutely no idea about, or something that they wanted to portray. So they are saying whatever has happened yesterday has been mischaracterized, misrepresented, and this wasn't the intention. It was purely a protest vigil, and it is their right to register dissent. All right, I want to cut across right now to our panelists this evening, and the moot question that we ask. Pure ideological dissent is what at least the student body of JNU seems to suggest, but the management has lodged an FIR. Well, the management, where the VC of JNU is concerned, they want action to be taken. Off late, we've also seen a tug of war between the students leaning towards the left and the JNU management, especially the VC. And okay, let's get down to the question that we moot in this debate onto the point: ideological dissent or something far more sinister. Joining me, Sanjay Jha, political analyst; Rajat Sethi, political analyst; Vaibhav Meena, who's a member of ABVP, former joint secretary; JNU SU from the year 24 to 25, and Vivek Srivastava, who's a CPI leader. To begin with, Vaibhav Meena, all of you will get 2 minutes to put your point forward. What do you reckon? Because the JNU SU, the student body, has come out with a statement clarifying they've been misrepresented. They didn't mean to say anything which was derogatory. Yes, slogans were raised, but they have been mischaracterized. It was their right to dissent, and they were raised in that manner. Vaibhav Meena, it's the questions for you. You have 2 minutes.
Sorry. कल जिस तरह की घटना हुई, ऐसा नहीं है कि पहली बार जेएनयू में ऐसा हुआ। ये पूरा इतिहास इनका एक रहा है। अफजल गुरु को जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने फांसी की सजा सुनाई थी, तो इसी जेएनयू में इन्हीं वामपंथियों ने नारे लगाए थे कि अफजल हम शर्मिंदा है, तेरे कातिल जिंदा है। बुरहान वानी का जब कश्मीर में एनकाउंटर हुआ, तो उसके समर्थन में भी इन लोगों ने यहाँ रैली निकाली थी कि बुरहान को हम आइडियोलाइज करते हैं। उमर खालिद ने तो उसके लिए ट्वीट तक किया था। तो ये इनकी पूरी परंपरा रही है। अभी थोड़ी देर पहले हिडमा का एनकाउंटर हुआ, जो हिडमा दंतेवाड़ा के उन सीआरपीएफ के 76 जवान शहीद हुए, जिनका जश्न इन वामपंथियों ने जेएनयू में मनाया था, उसी हिडमा के समर्थन में इन लोगों ने रैली निकाली, गैदरिंग की। अभी बसवा राजू मारा गया, बसवा राजू के लिए इन्होंने समर्थन में रैली की, गैदरिंग की। तो इन लोगों का तो एक पूरी परंपरा है। जो देश विरोधी शक्तियां हैं, देश को तोड़ने वाली शक्तियां हैं, जो वामपंथी नक्सली शक्तियां हैं, उनको आइडियोलाइज करते हैं, और उसके विरोध में इन्होंने वहां गैदरिंग की थी। जो जेएनयू अब बयान निकाल रहा है अपने बचाव के लिए, उस पोस्टर जो उन्होंने जेएनयू ने निकाला, उस पोस्टर पे उमर खालिद और शारजील इमाम के फोटो लगे हुए थे। उमर खालिद और शारजील इमाम को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने 6वीं बार जब उन्होंने जमानत अर्जी लगाई, जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक पहुंची, उसको खारिज किया। उन्होंने प्रथम दृष्टया उनको आरोपी माना है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट बोल रहा है कि उनको हम नहीं छोड़ सकते। बाकी 5 लोगों को उन्होंने छोड़ा है। और उसके विरोध में, इंडियन स्टेट के विरोध में, भारतीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के विरोध में ये लोग नारेबाजी कर रहे हैं, इसका मतलब ये है कि इनको विश्वास नहीं है भारतीय न्याय व्यवस्था पर, भारतीय संविधान पर, भारतीय कानून पर। और इसलिए इस तरह की नारेबाजी इंडियन स्टेट के प्रति और मोदी और शाह को यहाँ पे कब्र खोदने वाले जैसी नारेबाजी, जो जेएनयू को एक तरह से फिर से बदनाम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। जेएनयू बहुत अच्छा इंस्टीट्यूट है, बहुत अच्छी पढ़ाई चल रही है, सब शांत चल रहा है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं से अपनी प्रासंगिकता बनाए रखने के लिए नक्सली कुछ जो तत्व बचे हुए हैं, अपने आप को यहाँ पे साबित दिखाने के लिए कि हम यहाँ उपस्थित हैं, एक छोटे पॉकेट्स में इस तरह की गतिविधियां करते हैं। अभी सबसे बड़ी इनकी बौखलाहट उसी की चीज की है, जो बसवा राजू हेडमा जो मारे गए 31 मार्च 2026 गाइडलाइन भारत सरकार ने दी है कि हम नक्सलियों को साफ कर देंगे, इस देश से वामपंथी नक्सली नहीं रहेंगे। तो उस बौखलाहट में ये इस तरह की बातें कर रहे हैं, इस तरह की नारेबाजी कर रहे हैं, ये हेट जो स्लोगनरिंग
आपका
हो रही
वक्त
है।
खत्म हो गया है वैभव, मैं आपके पास बाद में आऊंगी। मैं जो बाकी पैनलिस्ट हैं उनके पास जाना चाहूंगी। विवेक श्रीवास्तव, एवरी राइट, the students have every right to protest even against the Supreme Court's judgment of denying bail to Sharjeel Imam and away from all of that, but to raise slogans like Modi teri kabar khudegi, you might say that this is just an ideological way of expressing dissent, but Mr. Srivastav, many would say to actually suggest that the Prime Minister's grave would be dug in JNU is anti-India.
Right. See, I'm speaking as a communist, not officially as a CPI spokesperson. The line is yet to come. So, see, it's very clear. This country has got a very vibrant democracy. Burning effigies, putle jalana, और इस तरह की slogan. Not only us, the ABVP, the BJP. I mean, every party has done it. I mean, if I question the BJP people, आपने कितने प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स, कितने चीफ मिनिस्टर्स, कितने ऑपोजिशन पार्टीज के लोगों के पुतले जलाए हैं और ऐसे स्लोगन्स लगाए हैं, कितनों पे हमले किए हैं? सैयद अली शाह जिलानी came from Kashmir at the invitation of the central government at that time to speak in Delhi University. He was attacked. पूरा ABVP पहुंच गया, हमला कर दिया. But then they are students, and you have to take that in perspective. I do not support ever any even ABVP student being victimized out of the turn.
Vivek Srivastava, there's a problem. We're going to freeze your counter. We're going to come back to you. There's a problem with your link. We're going to try and rectify that. Rajat Sethi, these are students. It needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. It's an ideological dissent. This was a vigil which has deliberately been mischaracterized to malign JNU once again. It's the defense.
What do you say to this, Preeti ji? I mean, it just shows on one side, it shows total bankruptcy of political vocabulary, intellectual bankruptcy, that they cannot even come up with a fair slogan which they themselves can defend a day later. When the state's gaze sharpens on them, they start having bowel movements. Today what we are seeing is that sorry display, that they couldn't even stand with what they said a night before. So I don't take these people seriously, but I believe the JNU administration should actually set an example. While students and young brains around the world in various universities are striving hard to make the country strong and powerful, these loonies out there needs to be identified and kicked out of the university campus once and for all, and set a tight example, strict example for others to follow and ensure that no such frivolous statements are made, which they very well know. It was a decision made by the Supreme Court. Do they have the balls to come out and say that Supreme Court Chief Justice Suryakant teri kabar khudegi? Bol ke dikhaye. See, the auqat, there is a beautiful word in Kanpur called auqat. Their auqat doesn't span beyond 1 square kilometer in and around JNU. Okay, that is their existence. The moment they leave that campus, also their safe haven or the laboratory of terrorism, the moment they step out, they're unemployable. They're not worthy of getting a security guard job also. And in spite of that, they want to step in and do all of this and tomorrow blame the government that, okay, while I was doing all of this, I didn't end up getting a job and the government is responsible for not giving us a job. That is their level. So such people, you try doing this in the US. There were a lot of universities, Columbia and Harvard, which attempted to do this. Where are they right now? Where are those loony left in these campuses? They've been shown the place. And I believe the state for once should ensure...
I'll come to you, sir. Sir, allow him to speak and I just get Rajat to finish his statement.
The
Make your
state
point,
should
Rajat.
for once show a sharp gaze onto these people, identify these people, rusticate them, remove them, throw them out of the campus,
Okay.
and you see everything will fall in place.
All right, I'll come back to you. Your 2 minutes are over. Vivek Srivastava, we froze your counter. You have 1 minute to put your point forward. Make it.
You see, the entire commentary given by Rajat Sethi was nothing but hatred for a political party recognized by the Election Commission of India. The entire left stands for elections. 35 years in Bengal. Listen to me, 10 years Manipur, 2 decades Tripura, Kerala. Are we breaking the nation? What nonsense is going on? Just because we are your political opponents और हमारा student wing है तो आप कह रहे हैं साहब हम एंटी नेशनल हैं. आप 70 साल हमने देश को कांग्रेस चलाया है तो
Sir, there's a huge problem with your network. We've lost you again. Please fix it before we come back to you. I want to cut across to Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, we'll give you your 2 minutes right now. The fact is, the students have every right to protest. The students have every right to criticize the judgment of the Supreme Court without even inviting contempt. But there is that fine red line. When you raise slogans which speak of the Prime Minister's grave being dug in JNU, many would call it anti-India.
Preeti, good evening. Let me start my 2 minutes right away. Firstly, I strongly condemn any use of language which has any violent manifestation, whether it comes from the left or the right. I don't approve of it at all. There are better ways by which you can make your point. You can be aggressive without indulging in kind of wordplay that can boomerang against you. Having said that, let's be honest. I heard Rajat's acerbic, very bitter vehemence was for all to see. This is the problem with people from the right wing. They have such an ideological animus against anything which is on the liberal, secular, or the left side that you're always bracketed as a libtard, as a secular, and they mock you. This is the problem. Narendra Modi himself as a prime minister calls every dissenter as an urban naxal. These are like terms that have gained political currency since 2014. I know there was a movie made, Preeti, I don't know whether you are aware of it, which was called Jahangir National University. What were they trying to convey, right? That this is not just leftist, but this has got a major Muslim domination. So end of day, we are living in a world where the universities and intellectuals are being targeted by this government, left, right, and center. We all know that. I mean, Rajat actually quoted how universities are being attacked by Trump and called them left loonies. So it is an ideological battle. There is no denying that. And you know why yesterday was probably a coincidence, where the students would be agitated, where you have a government today where Kapil Mishra and Parvesh Verma and Anurag Thakur make provocative speeches. Nothing happens to them. Tukre gang. I mean, these are what? These are nothing but fictitious allegations against people who are fighting for their democratic rights. They are bracketed as anti-national. So what you're seeing is protest. They should use more appropriate language. That's all.
Okay, use more appropriate language. It is protest. These are students, and one needs to look at it from that lens, is what Sanjay Jha is saying. I want to cut across back to our panelists. We have, I believe we do have our, we have Vivek Srivastava back with us. But before I do that, all of you will get your 2 minutes time each again. Vaibhav Meena, आपसे शुरू करते हैं. Vaibhav Meena, अभी जो स्टूडेंट यूनियन ने साफ बोला है कि एक मिस रिप्रेजेंट किया जा रहा है उन्हें, मिस कैरेक्टराइज किया जा रहा है उन्हें, एक ये विजिल थी, प्रोटेस्ट थी, चाहे आप उनसे सहमत ना हो, पर उनका राइट है प्रोटेस्ट करना, और वो कर रहे थे. वो मार्क भी कर रहे थे कि 2020 में जो वायलेंस हुआ उसमें एबीवीपी भी शामिल था. अभी तक वो पूछते हैं जो कोमल जो थी उस वक्त, जिसका फेस बेनकाब हुआ था, वो कहाँ है. तो ये एक प्रोटेस्ट था और इसको मिस कैरेक्टराइज किया जा रहा है. आप स्टूडेंट हैं, आपको तो ये समझना चाहिए.
देखिए, जेएनयू में प्रतिदिन प्रोटेस्ट होते हैं. यहाँ पे प्रतिदिन कोई ना कोई पुतला दहन होता है, प्रतिदिन कोई ना कोई रैली होती है. ऐसा नहीं कि फर्स्ट टाइम कोई प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है. अगर किसी प्रोटेस्ट पे इतनी बात उठ रही है, वो नेशनल मुद्दा बन रहा है, तो उसमें कुछ ना कुछ तो आपत्तिजनक हुआ होगा, जो सबको आपत्तिजनक लग रहा है. हम अखिल भारतीय विद्यार्थी परिषद भी लगभग हर दिन कोई ना कोई किसी विषय पे हम लोग अपनी बात रखते हैं, कोई ना कोई प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं. लेकिन हमारे खिलाफ तो ऐसा कोई एंटी नेशनल एक्टिविटीज का कुछ नहीं लगा. हमने तो किसी के लिए ऐसे नारे नहीं लगाए. अभी 3 दिन पहले ही केरला में 2012 में एक हत्या हुई थी विशाल की, इन्हीं वामपंथी गुंडों ने की थी. उन 19 लोगों को कोर्ट के द्वारा छोड़ा गया है. आज 8 साल बाद में हमने उनके बाद विरोध में यहाँ प्रोटेस्ट किया, हमने चीजें की, लेकिन हमने वहां ऐसे मुर्दाबाद का नारा नहीं लगाया मुख्यमंत्री का नाम लेके कि उनकी कब्र खुदेगी. एक विरोध का तरीका होता है। बंगाल में लगातार पॉलिटिकल किलिंग्स हो रही हैं, हम उसका विरोध करते आ रहे हैं, कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इस तरह हमने मुर्दाबाद और इस तरह की कब्र खुदी वाले जैसे नारे नहीं लगाए। जिस तरह 2020 की बात कर रहे हैं, उसमें पेरियार हॉस्टल में आयशी घोष जेएनयू प्रेसिडेंट उस समय के, उसके नेतृत्व में पूरा वीडियोज है। एबीवीपी तो उसका विक्टिम है, रूम से निकाल निकाल के मारा गया।
वैभव जी, एबीवीपी के भी विद्यार्थी थे जिनके वीडियोज हैं। कोमल उनमें से एक एबीवीपी की विद्यार्थी थी जिनके वीडियोज हैं। आजकल पता नहीं है कोमल कहाँ है, आज तक नहीं पता कर पाए हैं कहाँ है। उनके हाथ में रॉड थी।
आयशी घोष जेएनयू प्रेसिडेंट, सिटिंग जेएनयू प्रेसिडेंट, पेरियार हॉस्टल में घुस के 200 से ज्यादा लोग रूम से निकाल निकाल के मारते हैं। अभी आप 1 महीने पहले का देख लीजिए, जेएनयू का जो चुनाव हुआ स्कूल ऑफ सोशल साइंसेज की जीबीएम में, जिस तरह के लेफ्ट के इन जेएनयू पदाधिकारियों ने सोशल साइंस जीबीएम में जिस तरह से रॉड से लड़कियों को वहां पे मारा, स्टूडेंट्स को मारा, इनका हिंसा का तो इतिहास रहा है। कहाँ हिंसा इन लोगों ने की है? वामपंथ ने कहाँ हिंसा नहीं की है? पूरे वर्ल्ड में, हर देश में, हर स्टेट में आप उठा के देख लीजिए, जो बंदूक की गोली से क्रांति लाने का अपना सपना मानते हैं, वो लोग हिंसा का विरोध करते हैं। ये सबसे ज्यादा।
वैभव जी, आपका टाइम खत्म हो गया है। आपके पास 2 मिनट थे, हमारा काउंटर थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ गया था, बट आई वांट टू कट अक्रॉस राइट नाउ टू Vivek Srivastava. Hopefully we have him back. Vivek Srivastava, your 2 minutes start now. Hopefully we'll have you. Go ahead.
Yeah, see, it's very clear. It's nobody is trying to understand the emotions of the students. आप कुछ शब्दों को पकड़ करके पूरे के पूरे वामपंथ को, लेफ्ट को, स्टूडेंट्स को बदनाम ना करें। प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड द सेंटिमेंट। इस मुल्क के अंदर एक राम रहीम साहब हैं, लाइफ सेंटेंस उनको मिला है, 15 बार बेल और पैरोल पे घूम रहे हैं। दूसरे कुलदीप सेंगर साहब, वो अभी निकले हैं, मैं साहब वर्ड यूज करूंगा क्योंकि ये साहब लोग हैं। And look at the kind of bail that they are getting. So people feel what's wrong. Agar if you feel that this gentleman called Mr. Umar Khalid is guilty, Sharjeel Imam is guilty, why it's an open and shut case? Why have you not done the investigation and closed the case? The Prime Minister...
So we're going to hold your timer. Allow me to ask you a counter. We'll hold your timer. It's not about... Nobody is questioning why the protest took place. The students have every right, like I said, to protest, to criticize the judgment, which did not give bail to Umar Khalid as well as Sharjeel Imam. The question is on the kind of language and slogans that were raised, especially which involved the Prime Minister of this country. Can we just let it pass and saying, okay, this is an expression of dissent?
Yes.
That is the question.
It has, yeah. I'll just take a little while. Number one, it is not a protest against judiciary or the judges or the court. It is a protest against the Home Minister because the Delhi police, the investigating authorities report to him. And the investigation has not been closed.
There's a problem. We'll hold your timer. We'll come back to you. I think you have a really bad network and it's not supporting you right now. But okay, because I'm running short of time, I'm going to cut across to Rajat Sethi and I'll give you that 1 minute later. Rajat Sethi, 2 minutes time, sir. Go ahead.
Well, Preeti ji, if Sanjay ji wants to mollycoddle these people or breastfeed these future criminals or terrorists, by all means do that. I have deep hatred for people like these. They are unfit to live, can coexist in a civil society. Civil societies operate and function, nations operate and function through these social contracts. If they do not want to respect the institutions which are fundamental to nation building, then by all means they should be, they should be given a taste of the wrath of the state for once. Once they will get that taste, that bitter medicine, the rest of their lives, they'll all be sorted. And I believe an example, it's high time. For past 10 years or so, we've been seeing this. They have zero public support, zero credibility, zero employability, and yet they exist. And like parasites, they leech onto taxpayers' money while sitting onto these campuses for God knows how many years trying to finish their PhD. Enough of it. Something has to be done in order that these things cannot be repeated. And I believe the education system of this country is not under threat. There are thousands of universities who are perfectly creating future citizens, responsible citizens of this country, and doing an excellent job at that. And I believe we should focus our attention and our efforts and our funding towards those universities who are building the nation and building future promising leaders for the country. Do you think look at these faces, they can't even have a proper, rational, intellectual discussion. All they can do, and this is what I was saying, they are short of words because they've never gotten into deep level intellectual discourses ever in their lives. They find a small laboratory in which they are being taught by a certain set of these slogans by some of their old students, alumni, professors, I don't know whom, and they keep repeating that. Has there been any innovation that they've come out with? कम से कम slogan में innovation दिखा दो. असली innovation तो कर नहीं सकते हो.
All right, Sanjay Jha, 2 minutes, sir. Make your point.
Preeti, I have found Rajat, my friend's entire 2-minute talk very disturbing. The language is very provocative. The way he's branding everybody from the JNU as a parasite and almost like an anti-national. He talks about them getting fixed as a very appropriate way to go forward. These are not just authoritarian, Preeti. These sound very fascist, which is obliterate the opposition. And I can tell you that is extremely worrying because I have maintained it in all my public conversations on TV and in my writing that Mr. Modi's government's attempt has clearly been very explicit, destroy all forms of dissent. And nobody in their right senses is approving bad language. That's how I started.
Women of India.
Women of India.
There you're going
From
now.
sports, you have Harmanpreet Kaur and her entire team giving us a reason to celebrate. Then you had boxers like Nikhat Zareen. And women of Bihar ensured the return of Nitish Kumar. So that is the electoral power at display. Colonel Sofia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh becoming the face of communication. So you have enough and more reasons to say that women of India were dominating headlines. They were the real trailblazers of 2025.
Hi.
Hello everyone, good evening. The US raids in Caracas on 3rd of January that captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has sparked outrage across the world. And it has once again reignited fears of sovereignty violations and regime change gambits worldwide. To dive into this global storm unleashed just few days ago, we have with us the president of the Eurasia Group, Dr. Ian Bremmer. He is renowned for his annual top risks report forecasting global geopolitical challenges, a leading political scientist, someone who advises governments. Dr. Bremmer, really appreciate your time here on India Today. How do you see the moral compass of the world in 2026 when a US raid abducts a sitting president on foreign soil?
Well, it's what I call a G0 world. It's the United States walking away from its own previous global order that focused on collective security, free trade architecture, on the promotion of democracy and common values, rule of law. All of those things do not align with the America First policies of President Trump. They don't align with the Donroe Doctrine that he's just announced over the weekend. And, Trump is not the cause of this. He's a symptom. He's a beneficiary. And he is an accelerant, to be clear. But this has been coming now for well over a decade. It was back in 2012 that I first wrote about a G0 world, not a G7, not a G20, an absence of global leadership with the United States pulling back and no other country or group of countries able to take its place. But we see this playing out very dramatically over the weekend. And it's very clear that the United States is changing the rules of the road internationally.